Hello, everyone, and welcome to our quarterly webinar from Google Play team on policy updates. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Masha. I'm part of the Play Partnerships team based here in Singapore, and I work with developers across Southeast Asia and Australia and New Zealand. I'll be joined today by my colleagues, and we'll walk you through some of the important updates and reminders on key dates as far as Google Play policy goes. So without further ado, let's kick off. First and foremost, let me just cover a few housekeeping rules. So please, very kindly asking you not to record or share this session on social media. Obviously, this is meant to be interactive. So after myself and my colleagues share some of the updates, we'll jump into the Q&A session. So please use slido.com with the event code that you see on the screen to ask any questions that we might help address today. Please note that we'll do our best to cover as many questions as possible, but we do not guarantee that we'll get to all of them. So we'll try to prioritize the questions that are most popular and most relevant to as many developers as possible. And of course, last but not least, do share your feedback. At the end of this webinar, we will share a very simple and quick form that we'll ask you to complete to let us know whether this was helpful and what we can do in the future to improve. Thank you in advance. Okay, so before I pass over to my colleagues who will walk you through more recent policy update, I wanted to take a bit of a step back and talk to you about some of our key priorities for 2022. Keeping Google Play safe for users and developers remains our top priority. Over the past year, we have partnered with developers to ensure their apps are safe. We help developers protect the apps, prepare to share their data safety practices with users, and collaborate on building more private advertising technologies. We also continued investing in machine learning detection and enhanced app review processes to stop apps with abusive or malicious content before anyone can install them. We do realize also that it can be challenging for developers to keep up with the pace of change in this evolving privacy and security landscape. We've been mindful to give clearer updates, more time for substantial changes, and more helpful information through the inbox that you have in your console. Also, that's why we're running these global webinars like the one today and sharing additional resources. So some of the key 2022 initiatives that we wanted to share with you today are the following. Firstly, we're giving everyone a clear way to understand an app's data safety practices. In the data safety section in your app's Play Store listing, you can share how your app collects, shares, and protects user data. Users will start seeing the data safety section in Google Play as early as April this year. So please make sure to submit your data safety form soon. Completed data safety forms will also be required for all app updates starting July 20th this year. So please take note of this important date. Next, very important, building a more privacy-friendly approach to advertising. We recently announced that we're expanding the Privacy Sandbox initiative to Android to improve user privacy. We're building this technology in close collaboration with developers. So please join our newsletter to stay up to date on more news to come on that front. Third, protecting developer apps from piracy and fraudulent activity. We've rolled out the new Play Integrity API to help protect your games and apps and ensure that users have the intended experience that you designed, making it easier to detect suspicious traffic and respond faster to issues such as fraud and cheating. Fourth point here, something that you've inspired and gave us feedback on, is helping developers navigate SDKs. Developers shared with us that they want faster communication with SDK providers about critical updates. So last year, we gave SDK providers a way to notify you about urgent issues directly in your Google Play console. You've also shared that you want to learn more about how SDKs provide safety and reliability to avoid wasting building time or exposing users to unsafe practices. In a few months, we'll start sharing information such as SDK's adoption level, its retention rate, and the runtime permission it uses to help you choose the right SDK for your business and your users. Next, enhancing protections for kids and families. We refined our advertising restrictions and parental control requirements to further enhance privacy and safety for kids. Eligible developers can now add a badge to their upcoming data safety section, highlighting that they're committed to following our family's policy. And last but not least, responsible data collection and use. This year, we're continuing to align permissions more closely with the appropriate use cases. We're also in active conversations with developers about ways to mitigate risks from apps that leverage APIs in older Android OS versions. You can find out more in our session later today about a policy update on target API levels. And last but not least, from my side, and before we move on to our recent policy updates, let me share a little bit more about the Privacy Sandbox initiative that I've mentioned just earlier. Before we go into details, to take a little bit of a step back, Google's goal with the Privacy Sandbox is to improve web privacy for people around the world, while also giving publishers, creators, and other developers the tools they need to build thriving businesses. What does that include? First of all, it includes building new technology to keep user information private. The Privacy Sandbox technologies aim to make current tracking mechanisms obsolete and block covert tracking techniques such as fingerprinting. Secondly, enabling publishers and developers to keep online content free. Billions of people around the world rely on access to information on sites and apps. To provide this free resource without relying on intrusive tracking, publishers and developers need privacy-preserving alternatives for their key business needs, including, for example, serving relevant content and ads. And last but not least, collaborating with the industry to build new internet privacy standards. Google invites publishers, developers, advertisers, and beyond to get involved and contribute to the development of better privacy standards for the web and for Android. The Privacy Sandbox on Android is an important part of our mission to raise the bar for user privacy while giving developers and businesses the tools they need to succeed on mobile. We look forward to working with you all on this journey. So please join our email newsletter through the link or the QR code in this slide and stay updated. And on this note, I will wrap up my part and I will hand it over to my colleague Moon from our Trust and Safety team, who will talk about some of the more recent, time-sensitive, and important updates from the policy world. Thank you so much. Over to you, Moon.